Tilea's Troubles, Part 133. I Smell a Rat. Campogrotta, Winter, 2004-5. The last few years had been bad. The last few months the worst of all. When Wizard Lord Niccolo and Razga Bouldergut's brutes had ruled the city, there were none who thought things could get worse. When General Bruno Mazzolini of the Compagnia del Sole, contractor to the dwarven King Jaldiog, was made governor of the city, they presumed things could only get better. His may have been a military dictatorship, attained by right of conquest and in the service of a foreign power. But, compared to the brute ogres, the people's lives approached the old normality. Those who lived through these two tyrannies, the greater and the lesser, only then to become enslaved by the rat men, learned the hard way that they had been very wrong. Things could indeed get much worse. Once the rat men were defeated, less than a third of the population that had dwelt in the realm before the Wizard Lord's return survived, all reeling, each in their own way, from the rat men's cruelties. Some had been made tough by their long sufferance, becoming grim and silent types. Others had been wounded in either their bodies, minds, or both. Those who survived the whippings and the beatings wore scarred flesh. Those who had almost starved to death had sunken cheeks and darkly shadowed eyes. Those who had been cruelly toyed with, suffering the ogres' mocking or the rat men's tortures, or had witnessed deadly harm done to those they loved, bore battered minds, which made them strange to others, becoming either shadows of their past selves or gibbering, frantic fools. Yet there were some who emerged from the recurring nightmares glad to be alive, indeed almost giddy about the chance to begin afresh. Their saviours, the mysterious Brotherhood of Shadows, the Arrabbiati or Angry Ones, could have been the servants of the worst tyrant prince ever to have ruled a city-state in Tilea, and still been an improvement on the ogres and rats. They could have reinstated the same sort of rule that the dwarf king had foisted upon the city, with a condottieri governor failing to understand their simplest needs, yet the people would have been glad. Instead, however, and against all expectations, except for those who knew the old stories and the truths contained in them, the mounted brigands were like paladins of the poor. They seemed only to want the people's freedom from oppression, and indeed encouraged the Campogrottans to make their own government, a republic commune like those of old, before the nobility rebound the whole of Tilea into their service, demanding obeisance and taxes. 3 survivors, inspired by the new hope, had happily volunteered to assist in one of the first, if very unpleasant, tasks required for Campogrotta's rebirth. It was a task that required spades. "Someone must have helped the riders into the city," said Hamilcar, as they strolled easily down the Via Sarpi. "More than one, I reckon, because they came in through 2, maybe 3 of the gates. That's how they appeared in so many streets so quickly." His head was hooded, the better to fend off the winter's cold, and he carried his spade upon his shoulder as if it were a pike. He served in the militia in his youth, and had been tempted to leave the city with those ogres sent to join the Archlector Callictus's holy army in the war against the vampires. But for the sake of friends and family, he had stayed. It was a decision he had secretly regretted many a time since. "Probably died doing so," he continued, "because no one's claimed the honour, nor does anyone know who did it." "I don't think you're right, Amy," said Celso. "Who could have done it? The rats sniffed out everyone, had us all chained or watched. There were none left free in the city at all. It must have been some of the Arrabbiati, sneaking in over the walls in the dark. They are masters of the shadows." Gilda, who had volunteered for the digging first, thereby shaming the 2 men into doing the same, sniffed, as she often did when about to speak her own mind. "I know one of the riders grew up here," she said. "He's my neighbour's nephew, who fled when accused of stealing a piglet. He'd know where to climb, which gate to open, and how. Him and any others who once lived here." "Ah, you'll be right," agreed Celso. "Plenty escaped when the Wizard Lord came with his ogres. Reckon a good few of them crept into the wilderness to join the Brotherhood, some joining their brothers or friends already outlawed." "You saw them, didn't you, Gilda?" asked Hamilcar. "You saw the riders fighting?" I did that, out near the western gate. We'd been shifting barrels from the Archer's Rest, 2 rats guarding us. All of a sudden, a bunch of rats come pelting down the street, screeching at the 2 with us, who scurried off with them. Then came the riders, making no sound but that of their mounts' hooves on the dirt, with a banner at the front. The rats stopped and turned near the wall, and a couple came running out of the tower onto the battlement above. The riders loosed arrows, killing one of the 2 who'd been with us before he even got to the others, and another on the wall. Then they kept on a-riding, off down the street, not slowing at all, like it were a race, while more and more came up behind to loose their arrows. The rats just cowered there, shields up, looking at the dead and flinching as more riders galloped by. Craven, every one of them, like all bullies, said Chelso. I saw the fighting too. I got loose when the alarm was first raised. The rats guarding us were so panicked at the sound of it, they didn't even chase us. I ran towards the sound of the bell, thinking to help whoever or whatever was causing the trouble, whether it be flames or escaped prisoners. I didn't expect to see riders, but I turned a corner, and there they were. Like Gilda saw, they'd cornered a bunch of rats, who had nary a pistol nor bow among them. The riders were laughing as one of the vermin ran ragged towards the others. I think they'd already struck him with the blade, for he made hard work of the journey, and his squeals filled the square with ugly echoes. One rider had an arrow knocked, but another was shouting, "Hold!" which the archer did, just long enough that he could put the arrow in as the rat got really close to the others. After that, the rest of the riders all started shooting, and the squealing got considerably louder. I saw none of it, said Hamilcar, and if Mariana hadn't brought some riders down to smash the lock on the door, I'd still be in that cellar now, I reckon. I told you she had an eye for you, said Gilda. Hamilcar was not sure if Gilda was making a nasty joke, or had not thought about the words she was using. Mariana had only one eye, ever since a rat gouged the other out with a clawed finger, when she made the mistake of looking at him the wrong way. He said nothing, however, for there was no hint of mischief on Gilda's face. Suddenly, they found their first corpse, lying in the street, smeared in blood, presumably its own. If it were not for the winter's cold, they would have likely have smelled it before they saw it. Right, said Chelso. Here's the first. Where are we going to put it? I know that one. He was nasty, said Hamilcar. Gilda laughed. Doesn't narrow it down much. He was one of their captains, continued Hamilcar. Always found a way to make any task more unpleasant. I saw him cut a man's finger off before we started labouring on some stones, just so he could nibble on it while the work was done. You want to cut off its finger? Asked Gilda. Aye, I'd like to do that and more, for what he did. But only if he was alive. No point to it now. Still got to decide what to do with the creature, said Celso. Gilda prodded the corpse tentatively with her shovel's blade. Can't we bury it here, so we don't have to drag it around? In the street? That ain't right, declared Hamilcar. We don't have to give the likes of them proper burials, said Gilda. I doubt they'd do it for each other. Its own kin would have eaten it, and talked only of how chewy the flesh was. They're no better than sewer rats. No, said Hamilcar. It ain't that. I don't care about him at all, but those who'll live hereafter. Who wants its kind buried before their door? Or his ghost a-screeching when both moons are full, said Chelso. So we move him. Where to? Maybe we burn him, suggested Hamilcar. And hope the smoke doesn't come your way as he burns, said Gilda, regretting the smell she had stirred when she prodded the corpse. I say stick it under a midden heap, so that one stench masks the other. Did the riders not say what to do with them? Maybe there's a pit for them all to go in, like a plague pit, asked Chelso. They said nothing, other than we might want to clean the streets of them. Not helpful, Chelso complained. Well, we're in charge, see, said Gilda. The riders saved us, but they don't want to be conquerors. It's up to us to decide the this and that's. I'll believe it when I see it, said Hamilcar, though inwardly he liked the sound of the people being in charge of things. He just wished they were deciding something other than what to do with a dead rat. Well, he said, I've no wish to promote myself to head gravedigger in our new republic, but I say we choose a spot, dig a big pit, and drag all the rats we find to the same pit, throw 'em in, shovel a layer of lime atop 'em, and then we're done. Then we only have to dig one hole. Easier that way. Easier, aye, agreed Chelso. but it'll have to be a big hole. So we need more volunteers. And please, let's get barrows and carts for the shifting, eh?"
"Very good suggestions," said Hamilcar. "I should make you chief assistant to the head gravedigger."
Gilda grinned. "Then I shall become overseer of the graveyards and give orders to both of you."